Hello, the stranger spoke in a soft, composed tone tinged with a touch of compassion. What seems to be troubling you? He inquired gently. The man, lost in his thoughts, responded without realizing he was being addressed. I'm in a bind. My wife is in the hospital, and she requires surgery. Unfortunately, I don't have enough money. I've borrowed from family and friends, but it's still not sufficient. Curiosity piqued, the stranger asked, how much more do you need? Leo disclosed the necessary sum, and the stranger reached into his backpack, producing several thick bundles of cash. He handed them over and reassured Leo, here, don't lose hope, for money is not the most precious thing in life. With that, the stranger turned and departed, prompting Leo to chase after him, calling out, wait, please. Let me at least express my gratitude. What's your name? The stranger, known as Jason, introduced himself with a serene smile and strolled away at a leisurely pace. Soon, word spread throughout the city about a benevolent millionaire wandering the streets, generously assisting those in need. Despite many efforts to locate him, this mysterious benefactor remained elusive. Anyone who sought him out came up empty-handed, yet he would appear seemingly out of thin air whenever people were in dire need. Thanks to his presence, a single mother with 2 children, left homeless after a devastating fire, found herself able to purchase a new apartment. A retiree, whose mobility had been compromised, now glided effortlessly in a state-of-the-art wheelchair. Meanwhile, construction crews diligently worked on refurbishing several homes for the elderly. But this generous man's deeds extended far beyond those who benefited directly. His motives remained a puzzle, and various theories circulated among the people. Only a homeless individual dwelling beneath a bridge in a desolate part of town held the secret. Despite knowing the truth, he remained true to his promise, guarding the knowledge jealously. One fateful day, as he gazed out at the river, he spotted a despondent figure approaching the bridge, head hung low, clearly on the verge of bidding farewell to life. Without hesitation, the old man shook his head and sprinted towards the bridge, arriving just in the nick of time as the distressed soul teetered on the concrete parapet. Hey, listen, the homeless man implored the distraught individual. Come down here. Let's talk. No, the man replied bitterly, avoiding eye contact. The time for talking is over. It's time for me to take responsibility for my actions. The homeless man tried to dissuade him gently, saying, the rash decision you're about to make won't solve anything. It'll only end your life, and you'll still be left with the burden of your mistakes in some other way. The stranger contemplated this for a moment, then descended and approached the old man. With piercing black eyes brimming with profound despair, he asked, what do you know about it? The old man replied solemnly, I know more than you might think. My name is Quinn, and I've called this place home for over a decade. I, too, have the weight of ruined lives on my conscience. I used to be a criminal, served time in prison for it. But that didn't bring back fathers to their children or sons to their parents. I liquidated everything I owned, dividing the money equally among the families of those I harmed. I left nothing for myself. The man was taken aback and inquired, and what did that accomplish? You know, the man began, I found solace in repentance, and it brought me some peace. But what you're contemplating seems like a drastic step, cutting everything off at once. There may be some wisdom in that, he mused. By the way, my name is Jason. I possess substantial wealth, and I don't have any family left. I struggle to understand why I've been hoarding it for all these years. Perhaps you could consider giving your money to those in need, as a way to make amends for the pain you've caused. Jason fell silent, then decided to share his own story. He had spent his entire life living with his father, a stern and emotionally distant man. Jason's mother had been a brief presence in their lives, leaving when he was just 4 years old. His father painted a bleak picture of her, describing her as not only a negligent mother but also an awful wife. Following the divorce, Jason's father had taken him to their homeland, where he worked as a laborer. One day, young Jason inquired, "Will mother ever come to see us?" "She left us, son," his father explained, his voice heavy with sadness. "She's found a new husband and is starting a new family. It's going to be just you and me now." But the young boy responded with unwavering determination, "We'll live together, Dad. Don't worry. I won't leave you. I'll always be here for you." Yet, beneath his reassuring words, a seed of childish resentment took root in Jason's heart. He, too, began to blame his mother for everything, mirroring his father's sentiments. When his mother made attempts to visit and shower him with gifts, Jason refused to see her. He would run away from home to avoid her presence. His mother would call out to him in tears, pleading with him to help her reconnect with his father. But Jason remained obstinate, shrugging his shoulders with a vindictive and self-satisfied air. One day, his mother managed to have a heart-to-heart conversation with her son. She fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face, as she spoke to the 8-year-old boy, "Jason, I love you so much. It's unfortunate that we don't live with your dad, but that's how things turned out. Please, come with me. You have a little sister who will grow up and come to love you too. Can we at least visit sometimes? My dear, I'm so sorry for what happened. Yes, I'm guilty for leaving you both. I love your daddy, but I also love you. I'll always be your mother, even if we live apart. I'm not a traitor, Jason. I promise. Take your presents and don't come back," Jason spat, kicking at the colorful packages with his foot. He forcefully withdrew his hand from his mother's grasp and bolted away once more. The woman struggled to her feet, head bowed, and made her way toward the exit. Jason's father watched with a triumphant expression, devoid of any trace of pity. For him, the decision to exclude women from his life had been made long ago. As Jason grew, he seemed to mirror his father's harsh and unyielding nature, completely lacking in compassion for others. Women, in particular, bore the brunt of his harsh demeanor, treated as if they existed solely to serve him. Then, one day, Jason encountered June, a kind and simple-hearted girl. They began to date, eventually moving in together. Initially, June attempted to adapt to Jason's character, hoping to change him. But over time, she grew disheartened. "Jason, I can't continue like this," she finally mustered the courage to speak up. However, before she could finish, Jason cut her off, resisting any concession. "You don't have to continue," he retorted sharply. "If living with me doesn't suit you, you're free to leave. Why are you making such a fuss? Don't you desire a family and children?" June asked, her voice tinged with concern. "It seems like a waste, and it could bring happiness. Nobody owes anyone anything, but the choice to have a family is yours." Jason replied firmly, "I don't need a family. That's my decision." June departed, and Jason didn't make any effort to stop her. His heart had been tainted by the bitter memory of his parents' relationship. Sometime later, Jason received a letter from his mother, requesting him to visit her. His father had been absent for over 3 years. The letter conveyed a somber message: "A misfortune has befallen me. I am seriously ill and feel that I will not live much longer. Please come to see me, my son. I want to bid you farewell." Jason tore up the letter and discarded it without uttering a word. "No, Dad," he muttered, "I'm not going anywhere." His mother attempted to reach out a few more times, but Jason was resolute in his avoidance. Then, one day, she was gone. Turning to Quinn, Jason reflected, "You know, she wasn't even asking for help. She just wanted to talk to me, to hear me forgive her. It wouldn't have been that difficult to hold my mom's hand, be by her side, and care for her a bit. But I didn't, and now she's gone." And then, just 20 days after her passing, "I entered into a marriage," the man who had once been homeless, June, confided. "It was my twisted form of revenge. Nobody else knew about it, not even my new wife. In response, June's confidant, Claire, revealed her own dark secret. "No, I married Claire, an heiress with considerable wealth," she began, her voice heavy with regret. "That marriage instantly doubled my income, but it brought only misfortune to her. At my request, Claire underwent several abortions, and then she struggled to conceive. Tragically, she fell ill with cancer. The prognosis was initially positive because the disease was caught early. I sent her to the hospital, and initially, I was genuinely concerned. I visited her regularly and took care of her. But then, suddenly, I grew weary of it all. I became inexplicably drained by the obligation to be in the same room with her. I vividly recall one day when Claire woke up," the person reminisced. "She gazed at me with gratitude and understanding, mentioning that she intended to take a brief stroll around the ward. As Claire ventured out, I began tidying up her bed. Suddenly, I heard the entrance to the room, and I felt the gentle embrace of a woman's arms enveloping me. I turned to find a nurse named Adam, who immediately drew me close and initiated a passionate kiss. "Adam, you're taking quite a risk." I chided her urgently. "What if Claire sees us? She's occupied with the doctor, and it might take a while. I have work to attend to today." Adam responded playfully, "I'll wait for you, don't worry," giving me a wink and a parting kiss before leaving the room. I made my way to the window to collect my thoughts. From the very first day, I had been drawn to Adam, and now, it seemed, there was no reason to hold back, especially since she was open to such a connection. Our initial encounter had taken place nearly a month prior, during one of the nights when Claire was asleep, and I decided to take a walk to stretch my legs. Adam had been on duty that night, offering me a cup of coffee, and our conversation had quickly deepened. Soon enough, she had taken my hand and led me into a small room. That was the beginning of our closeness, and we seized every opportunity to be together thereafter. As Claire returned to the room, I tried to mask my inner turmoil by opening the window to let in some fresh air. However, Claire could sense that something was amiss. Concerned, she inquired about how I was feeling, but I brushed off her inquiry and hastily left the room. It might sound peculiar, but I didn't harbor any remorse. After all, I had dedicated my entire day to supporting her, ensuring she wasn't alone. In my mind, Adam was my reward for that unwavering devotion. When night fell, and I was certain Claire was asleep, I quietly left her room and made my way to Adam's. Our connection was so consuming that we were oblivious to the world outside. Little did I know that my wife had followed me and was standing pale-faced in the doorway, having finally tracked me down. Jason let out a long, heavy sigh and continued, "It took me just 1 minute to tidy up, but that proved to be enough time for Claire to rush back into the room and open the window. We were on the 6th floor. If only I had realized how many times she had professed her love to me, perhaps I wouldn't have taken it all for granted. I thought that her gratitude should be reserved just for my presence." In that moment, something deep within me shattered, Jason confessed. Of course, no one judged me. Everyone understood that Claire was ill, and they believed she couldn't bear her sickness any longer. But there was more to it. It turned out that June, my former girlfriend, had given birth to my daughter and kept it a secret from me. It was a heart-wrenching revelation, but my daughter was in dire straits. There was an incident at the kindergarten where icicles had fallen from the roof, injuring my daughter. June came to me for help, Jason continued. Curious, the old man inquired, "What did you do?" Jason's voice trembled as he replied, "I wanted to help, but after Claire's passing, I spiraled into heavy drinking, losing touch with reality. By the time I finally sobered up and comprehended the situation, it was tragically too late." Tears streamed down Jason's face as he concluded his story. "You see, I've destroyed everything with my own hands," he lamented. "Why did you intervene, old man? I seem to bring nothing but sorrow to people." It's easy for you to want to end it all, he said, turning to the elderly man. You mentioned having money, so why not distribute it to those in dire need? Aid the elderly, children, and the sick. And when you've given all you can, consider finding solace in a monastery to atone for your sins. After Jason's tears had subsided, and a sense of calm enveloped him, he gazed earnestly at the old man and embraced him tightly. Thank you for everything, he whispered. You've helped me see the light. And now, farewell. The old man returned his affectionate glance before watching Jason depart, eventually returning to his own dwelling. For another 2 weeks, the mysterious benefactor continued to bestow generous gifts upon those in need, spreading goodwill throughout the community. And then, as suddenly as he had appeared, he vanished. On that very same day, a quiet and contemplative monk arrived at the local monastery, ready to embark on a new chapter of his life.